Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Muddle Muppet here. I thought it might be an idea for me to show you a little bit about how I make films on Little Big Planet. Um, First of all, I need to get rid of this outfit that I've got on. It is a little bit lame, so let me just change this, and there we go. So here we have Scrooge's office scene. I did probably about 90% of the decoration and stuff for this particular scene. A couple of other people did help, but you'll need to see the credits on the LBP me link that will be in the description. The costumes were all done by Soul Stealer. He did a fantastic job on the costumes for this movie, for this project. Really, really great job. Anyway, we're going to assume, for the sake of this, that you've actually got your scene done, because it's not. I don't really have enough expertise to try and tell you about how to make your scene look. Now you'll see that I always make the characters bigger than the standard. You know, if I was to put a new Sackbot in here, that's the standard size that they'd come in. Now the reason that I made them bigger is that it gives you a lot more options when it comes to camera angles, because you can only zoom in so far, and if you do want a close up on somebody and your character is bigger, it's a lot easier to get an effective close up. Let's just get rid of this little chappy before he disturbs anything. Now when you enter your pod, your little planet here, you're always going to be in pause mode, but I'm going to just turn this trigger off. Now this trigger sets up this sequencer, and it's on the sequencer where all the meat and gravy is going to happen. Right? Everything's going to happen on here. You can also put the trigger for your lighting, sorry, your lighting here, and your sound volumes here. So I wanted the music very low, dialogue volume needs to be high. Put a little bit of reverb on because I want it to sound like it's in a room if I can. Put filter settings on the dialogue, and what that does is it cuts out some of the hiss. Now, you're not going to get rid of hiss totally when you're recording a Little Big Planet. It is one of the limitations of the program. Global lighting tweeter, as you can see, that's basically how I wanted that set up. You see the transition time for both of these is 0. That basically means that it will happen instantaneously when the movie starts. So on our sequencer, once we use this trigger to put it on and we're on the unpause mode, the play mode, there will be a time bar starts marching across here. Okay. Now what that time bar is going to do is a few things. It will, let's go from the top to the bottom. There's the music sequencer. Pretty, yeah. I might go into music making one day, but not right now. These are all the different instruments that are on it, and each section is a range of notes. So that's one piano part. Oh, hold on, there's the alarm going. Remind me of something. I will be back. Don't go away. Alright guys, that's it. Panic over. I am back. I am the world's most absent-minded person, and I had a pan of soup on, and I thought if I don't set an alarm for it, I'll forget about it. And then about 2 hours later, when I'm finished doing this video, I'll go downstairs to a kitchen full of smoke and burned pans. Anyway. So yeah, this is where I made up the song. For any musician types here, maybe interesting to see this bit. Put the bass in just a little bit behind the beat. Little slide down there. This will just give some of you an idea about how I do my music. and the different parts that go in to make it up. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go into music too much. So let's just close that down. But certainly when the sequencer starts, the first thing it's going to do is kick off the music. It's also going to kick off this tag. And you see that this tag here has the name act assigned to it. What does that do? Well, if we open up one of these characters, let's have a look at Scrooge, we'll see that we have this tag sensor here with the same name. Now you need to make sure that the radius, the minimum detection rate, the maximum detection range is going to be big enough to have that wherever you place it. The range needs to make sure that it's in range of the sequencer. I tend to overcompensate and just put a big range in just for the hell of it. You need to make sure that it's got the same color as the tag that's on the sequencer and the same label. So when the sequencer starts, that tag will light up this, and that will trigger off the acting chip that I did on the sackpot. Now with the sackpots, you can change the animation styles. Oh, that dog of mine, I don't know if you can hear him barking. You can change the behaviors that they do. You can record new behaviors, etc. Now, when I first started doing movies on Little Big Planet, I used to record the speech directly onto that. It was a bad move because you're trying to act something out at the same time as remembering your lines. And that can be a bit hard unless you're a professional actor, which I most certainly am not. So what we do is we give the character, the actor, a name. So if I click on this character here, we go all the way down, we'll see that's got the name Scrooge. Now what that means is these magic mouths, as they are called, will have a name at the front. So you can see the name at the front says Scrooge. That is set in these settings. You've got actor name. And basically then what happens is, as the sequencer bar moves along, when it hits that, it tells that character with that name to act his part out, to voice his part, and his mouth will move in time with the words. It's really very clever, and once you get the hang of it, it is a much better way of doing it than trying to record the voices directly onto the acting chips. What else is being triggered off here? Our movie camera. So the first camera that I've got is actually set to the middle of nowhere. It seems a bit daft, but when you're transitioning from one scene to another, it's useful just to have a dark background. Now when we actually see the run through of this, it won't quite work that well because this scene will be dropped into or dropped after another scene, and the lighting effects from the previous scene will still be in place. So it won't work quite the same, but you'll get the idea. First camera that I'll go to is down here, focusing on the charity workers themselves. Transition type is Crossfade, and that will blend it in a little bit from the previous character, which, as you remember, was set to the middle of nowhere. I don't want any character shake. I do want disable controllers, but that's a default option, so you don't need to change that. The flatness is left at a default option, and the depth of field is left at a default option. Just to give you an idea, that's 100%, so you can alter the focus of it that way. Now, as the time bar progresses, it will have the charity collector saying his speech, and it will go on to the next camera. Now, the next camera is virtually the same, but it is a little bit closer in. And you see I've used a soft pan here. So what that will do is it will fade between the two cameras. Sorry, not fade between, it will do a very soft zoom. The length of time that the cameras overlap will determine how long it will take that camera to zoom in. So if I go onto this one here, and then I want to check that, Click on that. And then I'm going to press R1, and that will cycle me through to the next camera. You can see at the bottom of the screen there, it tells you the previous and next camera prompts. So I click R1, and there we go. That should have zoomed in. I'm not quite sure why it didn't. Oh, never mind. It will in the actual movie. So, which order do you do these things in? Now, I find it easiest to put all the dialogue on first and get the spacing right for all the different things that they say. To do all the actions for each individual character. And only when all that is done do I start doing the cameras. So you can see that's why the cameras are actually underneath here. Because I start my way at the top and basically work my way down. Now I do have a bit of a disorganized mind in the way that I do things, but here's some things that I think may help. All the character lines here on the top belong to Scrooge. And that makes it easy for me visually to see. You know, if I need to change something, I can see where his lines are, and I can move them backwards and forwards if I need to. If I needed to move this over here, I can do so, etc. And I find it easiest to get all your voices done, you know, get your scene done, get all your voices done, and then start messing around with the cameras.